Hey, I'm Mike Lemon, and today we are talking with Officer Melissa Bailey from the Western Kentucky University Police Department. She is the Public Information Officer. We're going to talk to her today about what it takes to be a police officer, what you have to do, and really how social media can play a part in either helping or hurting you. How are you doing today, Miss Melissa?
Good. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. Can you kind of give us a little background about your time in law enforcement and kind of what made you decide you wanted to be a police officer?
Yes, I got hired with the Bowling Green City Police in 2006. I actually was a cadet during my college years, and while I was attending college, I worked part time there at the Bowling Green Police Department as a cadet, and I had a great experience. And from there, I decided to pursue my career in law enforcement. Um, with the Bowling Green City Police Department after I graduated from Western.
Excellent, excellent. So, if someone doesn't know, you just obviously you can't just walk into the police department and say, "Hey, I want to be a police officer." What did you have to do to be a police officer, and kind of what was your experience with the hiring process?
So with the hiring process, unfortunately, it took me three chances to pass the hiring process and get hired with the Bowling Green City Police. The first time I failed the written test by 1 point, unfortunately, and then um, I started full time in dispatch. Thankfully, they offered me a job since I had already graduated from Western. And I worked full time in dispatch until the next police testing process. And then the second time, I failed the physical test by about half a push up, unfortunately. So I had to wait another 6 months, but still, thankfully, working full time in dispatch. And the third time, finally, I did get hired as a police officer, passed all the necessary tests, and then went on to DOCJT, where we have our police officer academy there, and completed 18 weeks at the police academy, and then came back to the Bowling Green Police Department, completed the in house training there, and then started in patrol.
So, well, first is to say people should know that not making it your first time is the typical. I didn't either. I applied for state police, and I passed a written test, passed a physical test, went to the oral interviews, and bombed that. Learned from it, and then obviously ended up getting hired by Bowling Green Police Department, just like you did. But it's very typical. It's not the typical person that says, I just applied one time and got a job. You're going to get turned down usually a couple times before that. And how long of a process was it from the time they said, okay, you're hired to the time that you were actually on patrol on your own?
Um, well, 20 weeks, I believe it was 18 or 20 weeks in the academy. So I was officially hired, I believe it was May 29th of 2006. And my first day back in, I was in FTO training with Kevin Krogan my first day on October 31st, 2006. Which unfortunately you and I, that was a tragic day for the Bowling Green Police Department with losing an officer. But that was my very first day in patrol in FTO. So from May and then to October was Police Academy. I think I had maybe a weekend off when I got back from DOCJT training, and then I was right into patrol training. So it's a the actual hiring process testing. It was probably um, I see at least 4 to 6 months long, going through each process along the way, and finally getting the conditional offer to be hired, and then another 20 weeks or so with DOCJT. So it is a long process to get hired. It's not something that you're going to achieve overnight. As far as you apply, put in an application, and the next day you're a police officer. There is a lengthy process, but as long as you stick with it and continue the training and continue your plan, within about a year, I would say you'll be on patrol.
Excellent, excellent. So just so So if you're watching, you understand it is going to be about a year. It doesn't matter what department you're in before the time you apply to the time you're actually on your own. So it is a long process. So let's jump to patrol. What kind of things do you do in patrol?
In patrol at Bowling Green, it's very calls for service driven. We have a large city, so any citizen that calls in for help, whether it be a car accident or someone's broke into their vehicle or into their home, we respond to those calls and we take those reports and do those investigations. But not only in patrol, we're there for also traffic patrol. If you have issues in your residential area for, people speeding through there, and any other kind of calls for service that police would need to respond to, even as just a medical first responder, just to get there, like an accident or someone has fallen at home, they may dial 911, and the 911 calls directly come into the Bowling Green City Dispatch, and then they send those out to where they need to go, whether it be EMS, fire department from there. So we respond to lots of different calls throughout the city of Bowling Green, a wide variety.
So you've also spent some time in investigations. Can you kind of explain the difference between patrol and investigations and kind of the unique, really stressors that's involved with that?
Yes, in patrol, you're the initial responding officer that's on scene. So, say your home was broken into. So, that initial patrol officer is going to come out. He's going to process the scene, whether it be lift fingerprints, take photographs of the scene if they, your house is in disarray, whatever evidence that they can collect there. They're going to do the initial report, take what was stolen from your house, get all the information that they possibly can from that first response on call. And then from there is the reports will be then sent up to investigations. And I was in investigations for about 5 years. And so, as a detective, we follow up on those leads. We follow up on all that evidence that the initial patrol officer has collected, and we build our case from there to solve your case. And so we see it from the beginning all the way through the court process. If there is a trial, we take it to trial, and we see that you get justice for the crime that was, unfortunately committed against you.
Excellent, excellent. So now you've kind of transitioned from through investigation. Now you're in with the Western Kentucky University Police Department as their public information officer. What type of things do you do every day with that?
Uh, Completely different role as a police officer. This is my first time being in a role like this as public information officer. So I am still learning kind of the ins and outs of the public information officer role, but basically, I'm just there to show the community and our campus community what Western Police Department has to offer, what sort kind of resources we have for faculty, staff, and students, and what we can do to help them make their lives easier away from home during their college experience. So, just promoting our department, any kind of crimes or any, it doesn't just have to be negative as crimes, any positive uh, things that we are doing in the community at the police department. We always try to connect with the media and let them know so that people can see us in a more positive light these days, that policing and the police officer job isn't always negative. There are good police officers out there. So we're just putting our police officers and our police department out there, showing the public the positive things that we do for our community, and always posting on social media. That social media is huge these days. Everybody has Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those types of accounts. So you can follow us on there. I'm always posting things on social media promoting our department and activities in our community.
Excellent. So you've had a pretty varied career already, through patrol, actually through dispatch, which is a whole different ball game, but a career in itself. Through patrol, through investigations, through now PIO. But there's all types of other things that people can, if they get involved with law enforcement, they can get into. Can you just name a few of those? Kind of the ones that most people will probably recognize.
Yeah. So as a police officer in patrol, I mean, you can be a canine handler, or you see the canine dogs out. Um, you can be a part of the bike patrol, where actual bicycles, you're in a um, bike uniform for like parades and marathons, a lot of different activities where you can get in and out of crowds easily. That's what bike patrol is mainly for. You can be a motorcycle police officer and DTF or drug task force. You can be a part of that. The SWAT team, which I'm sure a lot of people think's pretty cool, but that's a lot of hard training and a lot of work. But it is a great experience. Or it seems to be a great experience. I did not have that experience in my police career, but it seems like it's a great training and great experience. Um, so and then you can go into investigations. You can be an accident reconstructionist, crime scene processor, advanced crime scene processor on like high felony cases, like murders, rapes, those kinds of cases. If you're interested in processing crime scenes, that's a great opportunity. You get some great training, and you get to see the ins and outs of that case. You probably know more about that case than anybody, because you processed it and collected all of that evidence. So there's lots of opportunities inside the career of police officers that you can do. You're not just stuck in one area, say in patrol. You can do multiple different things throughout your police career.
Yeah, I think the kind of one thing that came to my mind, I get a lot of questions about people who want to be in the crime scene tech, or they want to be in the forensic, computer forensics, cell phone forensics, and they're going to school for it, and they think, well, I'm just going to get hired on as that. And I tell people all the time, most people who have that job with crime scene, with computer or with computer cell phone forensics, they're officers first. There's very few civilian jobs I think of very few in every state. I mean, we're talking maybe 3 or 4 in the whole state that are civilian jobs, if that. Most all examiners, most all forensic techs start as officers, and then they kind of move in that position. And so I think a big thing for people to understand. You can't just go to school and say, "Okay, I got my crime scene degree," and then they're going to hire you. That doesn't happen like that.
Yes,
Well, Miss Melissa, or go ahead.
I'm sorry. I've spoken with several students that are, hey, I want to be an investigator. I want to, like on the TV shows, the crime scene is, well, you've got to be a police officer first. You can't just apply to be a crime scene processor and then instantly become one.
Excellent. Miss Melissa, I appreciate your time today and all you do for our community, and I hope you stay safe.
Thanks.